Today we're going to go over some new things in Google. This video will go over various different things from Google Drive all the way through Google Slides and Gmail. First of all, we're going to talk about our Google Drive. So I'm going to go into my Drive. Under my Drive, you may have already noticed that a couple things changed. Your Team Drive is no longer Team Drive, it is now called Shared Drive. It is the same thing, it's just named differently. Google just changed it. Also, on your Google Drive, you now have Priority. In Priority, it does allow you to organize your stuff that you add there. You can create a workspace and organize the files that you use quickly, that you want to access them, and it's a private place just for you. Now we're going to move on to Google Docs. While you are in Google Docs, you can type a document, and then say that I want to add an image with it. Maybe I want to draw something. I can go up to the top to Insert and then go to Drawing and press New, and it lets me draw it right here. So I can draw whatever I want to. Maybe I want to draw a line, an arrow, a shape. Maybe I want some sort of shape in my box. So maybe I want to do scribble. And I'm going to draw a heart. Save and close, and it will put it right there in my image. Super cool, especially for students as they're creating projects and doing stuff on the computer. You can also choose to say I want to share this with somebody, and I really don't know whether they've opened it or not, or even viewed it. They have now added a tool where you can share it with somebody, and then you can see whether the person actually opened the document. So that maybe they said they've read it, or your student said, oh, I read that assignment from you in Google Drive, but they really didn't read it. So I'm going to share this, and I'm going to save it. I'm just going to call it save. All right, I'm going to share it, and I'm just going to put in somebody's name. I'm going to put it as can view. And I'm just writing, testing, and making a video so that she knows that I'm just playing around with it. I'm going to send it. After I have done that, at the top of my screen, once it sends, I will notice a new feature. Right beside the share and the little comment is now an arrow. If I click on it, it will show me who has viewed it. It'll give me a viewer trend. See, it says no viewers to display. Nobody's seen it yet, but it'll tell me here whether they're sent. I can send them an email from right here saying that they didn't send that. Sending it to them, say, hey, you haven't viewed it yet. Do you mind taking a look at this? That history is right there. Another thing that you can do is if you now, Google has added where if you open a document that was originally in Word, it will, and upload it to edit it, it will now save it as a .doc file. But just keep in mind when you upload it from a Word, sometimes it does change the formatting. And one last thing that you may find interesting, if you're like me and maybe in Word you would download all these fonts to your computer. One, it takes up a ton of storage and space on your PC, and two, it's just time consuming. There is an add-on for Google Docs that you will love that will allow you to add all these fonts, and it's right there at your fingertips. At the top of your Google Docs, go to Add-ons, and then you're going to get add-ons. And this add-on is called Extensis Fonts. EXTENSIS space fonts. And it's right here. I've already added it. It is fantastic. So once you add it, all you have to do is type what you're wanting to type, highlight it, go up to your add-on, go to Extensis Fonts, will be right there once you've added it, press Start, It will start loading it. Once it loads, all of your fonts will be on the right-hand side alphabetically, and there are hundreds of them. I mean, everything you could possibly want. I mean, there's tons of designs, there's tons. You can change it to whatever you want. Maybe you want dotted so that your kindergarten students can trace writing their name or some words. Whatever you're looking for that maybe you loved with Word or that you loved about downloading font, well, now you don't have to download and take up memory on your computer. Now you can simply add this add-on. Super cool. Now I'm going to show you two really cool things in Google Slides. So in Google Slides, one thing that they added, or they're starting to add, is that you can let audio, you can add it now to your Google Slide. That is going to be something that you can do, but I will go ahead and tell you that when you add sound to it, it will have to already be in your Google Drive. So you will have to save it to your Google Drive before you upload it. Now, keep in mind, the change has not taken into effect yet, but as with things with Google, it could be tomorrow, it could be 2 months from now, but it is coming. Another cool feature that they've added is I can create my presentation, and maybe I want to talk about sharks. So I'm just going to create this, and I'm going to put on here some information. And when I create this, maybe I have a student that has the accommodation where they need closed captioning as I'm talking. Maybe they're not, their hearing's not the best. For whatever reason, they need that accommodation. Google has added that feature when you go into Present, which is really cool. So from here, I would go into Present. And under Present at the bottom, you're going to see some options. One of them is Captions. You're going to click to turn it on. The first time you do it, it will make you choose to allow the microphone. I've already done that, so you may notice that my words are now popping up on the bottom of my screen, which is super cool. Now when I present my presentation, I can read it, and it will put the words at the bottom for those students with accommodations. So here I go. All About Sharks by April. Keep going to learn more. It's a very cool feature if you need that. Now we're going to go into Google Calendar and look at some updates that they have added. So in Google Calendar, they have added some different features. One of them is the support resource that they have added. This is actually available in Google Drive, Calendar, Docs, and Gmail. At the top of my screen, you'll notice there's a question mark and it says support. This button is a fantastic tool. Under this button, you will find help videos or help research, training, updates where you can check on updates as to what's going on, or send feedback, which is awesome. Google is really good about, if you give them feedback about a feature that you want as a teacher or that you think would be beneficial, they're very good about looking into it and often add the feedback that we give them. They end up making changes and add that to Google, or whether it's Docs or Calendar or any of that, which is really cool. Another cool feature that they've added is you can now create a task and it links with your Google Calendar, and you can put a date or a time in which you want to do that task and complete it by. And what it will do is it will give you a reminder on your calendar, so that way you get an update and get a notification as to when you need to have that particular task done. So on the right hand side, I have a little keep, which are just keeping notes, tasks, which are things that I need to do, kind of like my sticky note. I'm going to create a task. I'm going to say that I need to buy a baby shower gift for Courtney Proctor for her shower coming up. Then I'm going to click the pencil, and I'm going to add it a date and a time. And that way it will give me a reminder. I'm going to choose this Friday, and I'm going to say at 8 o'clock in the morning, and I'm going to press OK. Then it will add that to my calendar, which is really cool. In order to see it on my calendar, it will be right here, but in order to see it on the left-hand side of your calendar, you need to go down and select Tasks. Once you have done that, it will pop up on your calendar. There, mine is right there, 8 a.m., buy a baby shower gift. And then I'll get a notification on my phone or my watch if I have that synced to do so. So that is a really cool feature that they have added, which is really cool. Now we're going to go over into Gmail to talk about a few updates they have added. One of the biggest things that they added, which is cool, is if you haven't noticed, you can now send and schedule email within Gmail, so now you don't need Boomerang anymore. In fact, if you've added it, you can actually take it off if you don't want it. I removed my extension for Boomerang just because Google listened to everybody saying that they wanted the option to schedule their send, and they did that. So I could put on here, type who I'm going to, go ahead and make my choice once it loads, put whatever this is that I need in here, PBIS, then put my content in here, whatever that may be, go down by the send, there's now an arrow, I can schedule it. If none of these times work, I can pick a date and a time and choose it. And where it will go, say that I schedule this for tomorrow at 3:23 p.m., but I schedule it and I decide all of a sudden I don't want to do that. On my left-hand side, I will notice a folder is now scheduled, and inside of it has 1. So if I click on that, I can choose to cancel send, and all that does is it puts it back in my draft folder so I can go back and edit the email. From my drafts folder, I can delete it or I can edit it before I choose to send it again. Another new feature that they added in Gmail, which is really cool, is maybe I have an email that I want to snooze it and for it to pop back up at 5 o'clock this evening so that I will reread it and it will remind me to do whatever's in the email or to take a look at something. When I'm in my inbox, I can go to the right and you now see the option to archive it, delete it, mark as read, and then there's a clock. That's the snooze. I can hit snooze and I can choose when I want it to snooze to. If I don't like the options they give me, I can pick a date and pick my own time. I just simply write my time in and press save, and it will take it out of my inbox and it will pop it back up on that day and time that I chose to snooze it to. One last thing I want to remind you about Gmail before I move on to our next thing is when you are replying to an email that has been sent out to MES, try to keep in mind not to click reply all to respond to everybody. Just respond to the person you sent the email to. Now, if it's an email that you need to reply to everybody in the school, that's fine. But just try, if you get a chance, to make sure that you try not to click reply all when responding. Now, we are going to go into Google Classroom. So now, when we go into Google Classroom, you will see all of your old classrooms. If you continue using the same ones over and over, Google has announced that that will soon be going away. You will not be able to access those at some point this year. They didn't give a date as to when, but that change is coming. So you will want to make sure that you are making new classrooms every year so that they're up to date. And of course, to create a classroom, you click the plus sign and choose Create Class. Then go ahead and name your class. And this is just like any other time you've done it. You can add a section if you want to, subject, room number, but you don't have to. Choose Create. Then it will create your classroom. And once you start, oh, look, they gave me a heads up. They did say starting September 4th that the version of Classroom without the work page will be going away. So it says you can switch over before September 4th by going to the question mark, add classroom page. All right, so one thing they have changed is they did add towards the end of last year your class code at the top where you can click display to display it large. You can even display it even larger. Press the X and it takes you back to your screen. You do have your communication page here. You now have a classwork page that was there before, people, and grades. We'll talk about grades in just a minute. Under your classwork, when you create an assignment, you can create your topic. This will categorize it and give you different headings. You can also create whatever assignment you want to here. Make sure that if you are adding a form, it is always best to add the link from Google Forms, because when you add it in here, it doesn't give you as many options and features. Under people, it will list your students. You can add another teacher if you have a co-teacher. And then we're going to go into grades. This is an awesome feature that is going to be added into Google. When I create an assignment, I will get the option of having it graded. In the beta testing for different school systems, now this has not been integrated into Effingham's yet, but it is coming. When you grade an assignment and you choose in Google Classroom to have it graded, pretty soon it will be syncing with Infinite Campus. How wonderful is that? So you can have Google Forms grade it, and then it will automatically sync to your Infinite Campus and be in your gradebook in one step. Now, of course, that is in the beta function. That is not currently there yet, but it is coming. You can also, one thing, when you add a Google form into your classroom, or just when you add it, period, to share it with your students, there is a feature now under Google Forms where you can make this a quiz. You can give it grades, of course, and you can also choose the locked mode now. That is finally there, and that prevents any students from going into their another tab and trying to search the answer or trying to cheat or getting distracted. So when I go into a blank quiz, it will load it. And it's just going to take it a minute to load. The computer's been a little slow today. But once it does, you can type in questions, have them put their name, make it required. What is your favorite color? Ask some colors if you want to give the option. Make it required. Go up, title it. Then what you're going to do to have it in locked mode is you are going to make it a quiz. So I'm going to go under my settings gear. Right now it does have it restricted to users with the board, and of course if I'm using this with my students, then that's of course what I want. I can choose to collect the email addresses when they complete the quiz, and if I choose make this a quiz, this is where the feature comes in. I can turn on locked mode. When I turn on locked mode, my students will no longer be able to go over here, open a new tab, and search for an answer in my quiz. I know we discussed that last year, and a lot of people mentioned how important that would be and how they really wanted that feature, and Google listened. It is up, it is running, it is fantastic. Feature under the General tab in Google Forms, you can have your students edit after they submit under Respondents Can. If I have this as a quiz in locked mode, I can't choose that, but I can go under General if I turned off locked mode off, and click on Edit After Submit under Respondents Can, and that will let the students go back in. So if I'm taking a quiz that's going to take more than one class period, or maybe more than one, I want them to take it over several days, not just one day, I click on Edit After Submit, press Save, and then my students can, after they're done taking it, they press the Submit button at the end of the day or the end of class. Then the next time they go into it, they will be able to edit that form and submit it again once they are done. And that is all I have for now for Google Changes. Make sure you take the Google Forms or the Google Updates quiz to get credit for completing this task.